Hey guys, I'm Mel, and today I'm going to recommend some diverse books that you can read instead of reading the problematic ones. This is an idea that I've had for a while now, and I've realized that lately I've been talking a lot about problematic books, especially with the books that I changed my mind about, Video, and the last one that I made. I think one of the biggest parts in the advocacy in the book community has to be promoting diverse books that don't get as much popularity as the mainstream books we see. And this is not a list of all like racist, homophobic books, no, but some books that do have problematic aspects and bad representation that I think it can be better done with authors that write on voices and authors that do the proper research without offending or disrespecting the community that is representing. And I'm not saying you shouldn't read the books with problematic aspects, but just be aware that they do have problematic aspects and you have to recognize that. You will understand what I'm talking about. A book that I've been saying that has a lot of problematic aspects, and a book that I think has the ability to hurt a lot of people, is None of the Above by I.W. Gregorian. This book is about an intersex girl who finds out that she is intersex, but it has really bad and harmful representation with a lot of slurs, with a lot of inaccuracies of what the actual experience with intersexuality is. So if you want to read about an intersex person, I recommend you read Golden Boy by Abigail Tartelin instead. This is not a non-voices book, so be aware of that, and be aware that it has a lot of sexual violence, but it's a book about a boy who has a really good life, who is very privileged, he's a good son, a good student and everything, and he is also intersex. But one day one male friend of his rapes him and he has to deal with the consequences of that. And I know rape can be something difficult to read about, but I think this book treated it with so much care and so much respect for the character. I'm going to recommend another book that I haven't read yet, but it's a non-voices book about an intersex person, and it's non-fiction, and that is Born Both, An Intersex Life by Hida Viloria. This book came out very recently and I haven't had the chance to read it yet. Another book that I said in my books I changed my mind about that is super problematic, The Art of Being Normal by Lisa Williamson, is terrible trans representation. I can't believe all the violence that this book has against its own characters. So if you want to read a book about a trans character by a trans author, you have to read Dreadnought by April Daniels. This book is nothing like The Art of Being Normal, but it has some really similar aspects. This book is about this girl who is trans, but she hasn't transitioned yet or came out to her family yet, and in this book superheroes are a thing, and one day Dreadnought dies in front of her, so he transfers his powers to her and her body change into the body that she wants, and it has a lot of commentaries. It's a super interesting book and super action-packed, so if you want something like that, this book is for you. Another book that I've been saying is problematic is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This has a master and slave relationship, and I'm not here for that. But if you want a book with this combination of different genres, with dystopian, fantasy, with a little bit of everything, you need to read The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. It actually has like this institute as well that is very oppressive. It talks a lot about systemic oppression, identity, and who you want to be, and it's very heavy on the dystopian fantasy combination. N.K. Jemisin is such a brilliant author who brings intersectionality and connects it to the plot in such a beautiful way. Everything by Nicola Yoon. So I really like this book. I think the storytelling and the writing is really beautiful. It is a very ableist book, and even though there are other representations in that book, the ableist thing is just not okay. So if you like the cute aspects and the romance in that book, and if you like how her illness intersected with her relationships, you have to read Under Rose-Tinted Skies by Louise Cornell. This book is so similar to everything, but is not ableist, is own voices. It's about a girl who has agoraphobia and she can't go out of her house. She also has OCD and anxiety and a bit of depression, and this guy moves next door, just doesn't like everything, and they start hanging out, but she can't get out of the house. And it's about how he has to understand a lot of things about her as well. He is not going to be her savior, and he's not. So to talk about a very controversial series, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, but especially A Court of Mist and Fury, that I know is a lot of people's favorites. If you want to read an Hades and Persephone retelling like ACOMAF is, if you want to read a really good and complex relationships like the one in ACOMAF, but with more diversity, which, let's be honest, doesn't take a lot, you need to read The Dark Wife by Sarah Dimmer. The Dark Wife is, like I said, an Hades and Persephone retelling, but with two female characters. Persephone is actually a woman of color, and Hades is like the cutest person ever. It talks a lot about how history is told from the winner's perspectives. You know, they glorify and romanticize some gods, and it has so beautiful writing, like it's poetry, it's super whimsical. It tackles a lot of things against sexism. I just love that book so much. If you want to read something like The Disaster That Is Beautiful, Disaster by Jamie McGuire, but if you like the new adult aspect and the university setting and the kind of enemy to lovers relationship, you need to read Trade Me by Courtney Millan. This is a new adult book. The girl main character is poor and she is the daughter of two Chinese refugees, and the guy has an eating disorder, and basically they trade life. It's such a deep book, like it talks so much about poverty, about race, about mental illness, about family dynamics. If you don't want to read Maggie Stiefvater's new book called Crooked Saints and you want good Latinx representation with magical realism, you need to read When the Moon Was Ours by Anna Marie McLemore. And I'm not going to talk too much about this book because I talk about it all the time, but it's so beautiful. The relationships are beautiful. It has Latinx characters. It has also a Pakistani character who is trans. It has so much respect for the characters, so much love for the characters and for the plot. I haven't read Maggie's book, but I already know it's going to be a mess. If you don't want to read bad Latinx representation, read Anna Marie McLemore's books, which is going to make your life so much easier. Okay, I have so many other books to recommend, but this book is getting super long, so I think I'm going to make a part 2 of it with books like 13 Reasons Why and Throne of Glass. Let me know in the comments if there is any problematic book that you would like me to find something diverse that is similar. And yeah, that's everything. Hope you like this. If you did, subscribe, and I will see you when I see you. Bye!